Hey guys, Kyle with Dirt Bike Channel here. Today we're going to be talking about servicing your suspension, changing the oil and the fork seals. I know there's a certain percentage of you guys out there that are just going to say, Kyle's just trying to make a buck, or Kyle's just trying to make you spend money. Number one, I don't own a service shop. I don't get paid if you do a service on your suspension. I just want to put some information out there. And number two, we're actually just following the recommended service schedule from KTM, as you can see in this manual. There's another percentage of people out there that are going to go, you know what? Kyle's got a point. I do follow the recommended service schedule for my car, and I try to follow the recommended service schedule for my engine oil on my dirt bike, so maybe I should think about changing out the fluid in my forks and in my shock. This video is for you. Let's get started. Hey guys, thanks for watching Dirt Bike Channel. I'm your host, Kyle Brotherson, and today I'm here at MotoXperts in Spanish Fork, Utah. I've got Kevin Egbert, the owner, here with me, and we have gone through the suspension on this 2019 KTM 300 XCW. Now, Kevin, the bike... TPI, that's right. Now, the bike had... You did the suspension on it initially, did a revalve for me, did kind of a custom tune on everything. You did that several months ago, and I've been riding the bike. Me and some other riders have been riding the bike for about 80 hours. Yeah. So what did we go through today? We went and tell us what we went through and why customers might want to do this.
Right. So today we disassembled, serviced, inspected everything inside of the forks and the shock, just to make sure that there weren't any wear parts like bushings, or shims or pistons or anything else that needed attention or to be replaced. So it actually looked pretty good today. When we disassembled everything. We used a higher quality oil.
The first time around.
The first time around. So typically the oil from the manufacturers breaks down faster, and you start to see more bushing wear, more internal wear in the shock and in the forks in general. So it's a good idea within 20 to 30 hours of buying a new bike to have the suspension torn down and serviced. And then after you've had it serviced, about every 30 to 40 hours after that.
And what's a rider going to expect to feel? I mean, does the bike start to feel a little bit harsher or softer as that oil breaks down and those bushings and things start to wear out? Is there something that they should be looking for in the feel, or is it just the hours that they should kind of be going off of?
I mean, both parts are important. You don't want to go, past the, 30 hours or so. But the suspension might start feeling softer. In some cases, it might start feeling harsh if it's sprung or valved too soft for you to begin with, and then you're riding further down in the stroke because of how much that oil has been broken down, and if the bushings have started to wear. And then after you get it serviced, it might feel like it's a little bit stiffer, like when it was new.
Yeah, so this bike, I'm excited to see how this bike feels. One of the things that I was really, kind of my eyes were open today is just how many parts go into this. So a lot of guys maybe are doing some of this in their garage. Maybe you're changing your fork seals and maybe you're changing your oil. But there was a lot of specialized tools here, and the more I saw you do, actually the more impressed I became with how complex these systems are. Where, there's a lot of specialized tools that goes into this, and there's all these special parts that you're pulling out, and you might not know the order of all this stuff. So you're doing this every day, and it was nice to see someone do it every day. It made me wonder, though, how much of this realistically can a person do in their home, if you're in their garage, if they're only doing it once a year? Like, do you think, what are the other things that you're doing that the person at home maybe isn't able to do?
I think everything that I just did here today, you can technically do at home if you make the investment in the right tools. I mentioned during the disassembly and servicing process that we see a lot of customers' bikes and suspension come in that they've attempted, or their buddy or somebody else previously had attempted to service and work on using things like channel locks or pliers or crescent wrenches, and it ends up costing you a lot of money. Because if you nick a damping rod or damage something in the cartridge internally, it can end up costing you hundreds of dollars to replace and fix. But obviously we have quite a few tools, a vacuum bleeder for the shock, But yeah, it could be done at home.
Yeah. Well, I was just impressed with how many, how many moving parts there are with all this. Even the shim stacks, and maybe I'll roll in a shot right now of just, I think we kind of laid out like the shim stack or the valve stack right here on the table for the fork, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of staggering to think how many different little pieces are in there, and they're all in a certain spot in an order, right?
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of things, like you mentioned, maybe you're doing the valves, but are you pulling apart your inner piston set, or I'm not even maybe using the right terms, right? But there's a lot of extra things that you did and cleaned and went through that I don't think the average guy is going to do.
Right. So on these forks, they're an open chamber style fork. So anytime there's an open chamber fork where you have your base valve, the compression assembly at the bottom, they're prone to accumulating debris, dirt and things around the shim stack and the piston. So on these forks, whenever I disassemble them, I pull that shim stack apart, inspect the shims, replace them if they've been damaged, and then just cleaning out all the ports in the piston. And that makes a huge difference, because a little piece of dirt that's holding the shims open on the face of the piston can feel drastically different when you're riding those forks, because they're just going to blow through and they'll feel very soft. But on the open chamber forks, that's always a critical item.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to go ride this bike again, to get it kind of freshened back up to where it was 70 or 80 hours ago. If you guys are local in Utah, you should give MotoXperts a look. And even if you're not local to Utah, the thing about Kevin here, as I've gotten to know him over the past year, is I trust him. Now that's a huge thing, because in this industry, there's so many ways that you might be able to be taken advantage of. This is someone that I'm going to continue to keep doing business with and work with because I trust him. I feel like this is an awesome part of our community here. And if you're not local to Utah, maybe you should call him up and see if you can get your suspension sent here and serviced, especially during downtimes like this. Maybe we're coming into, winter time where you've got a little bit more time on your hands. This is something that we should all be thinking about more often. I know I need to be doing my suspension servicing more often, and I'm going to commit to do that after this. So how do people get in touch with you, Kevin? Like, what's the best way?
You can call us. Our shop number is 801-318-6213. We have a website, themotoexperts.com, TheMotoXperts. And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram at the MotoXperts. But yeah, you can message us directly on social media, call us or text us on our shop phone. And then Kyle, you've done a great job of directing your customers over to us when they have questions, and so we do appreciate that.
Cool. Well, thank you. We're going to put this bike all the way back together. I think it actually is back together now. And if the weather will cooperate, I'll go ride it either later this week or early next week and let you guys know how it feels fresh and back up. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Thank you.
So that's what we've got for you guys. We can take... Hey guys, Kyle with Dirt Bike Channel here. Today we're going to be talking about servicing. I never know quite how I'll edit this down, but I am not a fan of the and remember that wherever you go, shoot. Let me just see if I'm standing right here. These bikes would come. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you're watching this, if you've listened to my podcast with, no, that's not how I want to start this. These bikes come with an open cartridge on the bike. I like having the map switch up here.